So, you may have heard that there is a game jam coming up, and that sounds like fun. You are correct. You want to participate, that is correct. But maybe you're not sure how you can. Maybe you feel like you don't have a lot of specialized skills, like, I don't really understand code, and I'm not a good artist, and I'm definitely not a musician, so like, what am I going to contribute to a team? I can't jam. Or maybe you're like me, and you have one specialized skill, and that skill is coding, so you do it for work. So when you're done with work, you do not want to look at a screen anymore, which leaves you back at having no specialized skills. If this is you, either one of these are you, I'm here to tell you there is hope. Do not despair. You do not need to code to make a jam game. You can make a Meatspace game. Now, I realize I am dating myself by using this term. Meatspace is a thing old nerds say to talk about the physical universe, right? As opposed to cyberspace. It's the etymology, I promise. So a Meatspace game is a game that takes place here, not on a screen. This can be something with physical pieces, a board game, a card game, a war game, a parlor game. It can be something that focuses on physical player interactions, your Dungeons and Dragons, or your LARPs, or your like Werewolf and Mafia. I would love to see a jam version of Werewolf or Mafia. It'd be really cool. Or something that is about a physical location, right? An escape room, a very small escape room. Or like an immersive mystery. There are honestly just like so many possibilities that are not video games. And they are, like, I understand jams have a lot of extra constraints, but you can make a Meatspace game in the jam space. I am here to tell you this is possible because I do it quite frequently. You might remember me from such jam games as Yes, Real Fire, the game you should never ever play. This was a game where you build little cardstock houses piece by piece. You get a little door, a little wall, a little window, and then climate change happens. So you dump a cup of water on your neighbor's house, or you throw lit matches at them, or you pound on the table, and everything is destroyed, and it's super fun, and I've never gotten to actually play it. Because, yeah, real fire.
Because safety, the PIGSquad.
We're getting to that. I made The Shadow over Bridgetown, which is a Lovecraftian LARP, wherein two humans find themselves on a desolate alien moonscape, and they are trying to figure out which alien has the right key to get them home. This one you can see featured some really awesome character art from Nisa. Also featured some cool, like, super weird live atmospheric music from Rune. This was a total blast. Got to run it at the showcases, and I really need to find time to run it again, because, yeah, it's super fun. And then there's Beth Jesus' Treasure Cave. Which was... The theme was heist. I don't know. This was a narrative obstacle course. The goal was for you to crawl through cardboard tunnels to try and find the billionaire's hoard and also figure out why he left it there in the first place. Quentin and Rune were with me on this one also. We didn't quite have enough time. We had big dreams. They didn't quite come together, which is fine because we probably wouldn't have been able to demo it anyway, because it's dangerous obstacle courses. Fun idea though. So you can see I've done this a few times. I'm gonna do it a few more times. But I have learned a lot about how you can do this successfully. So I'm gonna just tell you some of the things that I have learned. I think the first thing that's super important is to embrace embodiment. And what I mean by this is I have a body, you have bodies, all your players have bodies, and they're going to be using them to play your game in a very significant way. So, what can you do in real life that you can't do in a video game? I let the answer to that question be the focus, right? Be the foundation. Like, make it the main idea, just build off of that. For Yes, Real Fire, the key was obviously all about the physical properties of paper and water and fire, and the real physics of throwing things around. And for the obstacle course, right, it's all about the physical action of crawling through cardboard tunnels. With the LARP, you had keys, which were physical objects. They're like wax sticks, and then gates were circles on the floor, which meant that players could do all kinds of things I wasn't expecting. Like you can hide keys, or you can swap them when people aren't looking, or, stuff that you can't do in a video game because it's so constrained. People like moving their bodies. For whatever reason, we find it like inherently fun. Why else is Wii bowling a thing? Right? So exploit the fact that you're in reality. Bodies have senses. You get to use all of them. If it makes sense, right? Use touch and taste and smell. It will be such a cool experience. In the LARP, there is sometimes a chance for a player to eat an alien fruit, and I made sure that it is an actual fruit that they actually eat. And I have a feeling that the people who did that will still remember doing that. It was just like dried apples or something, but like, you can eat it. The danger here, like Isaac was talking about earlier tonight, is that every body is different, has different strengths and different sizes and different abilities and different sensitivities. And boy, it's really a bummer when people can't play your game. So try and keep these different bodies in mind. With the obstacle course, obviously there's so many people that couldn't play it. If you're afraid of the dark or enclosed spaces, if you are physically just too big for the yarn lasers, that was a problem. Yarn lasers are cool though. Some people can't crawl easily, right? So this is kind of a bummer. So it's good to keep that in mind and know it's going to be hard and try and test with as many different types of bodies. It's different from yourself. But overall, embrace embodiment. You're in Meatspace. Be a planner, not a pantser. This is a concept I have learned from the NaNoWriMo community, which, if you're not familiar, is effectively a novel jam. The month of November, you've got 30 days, you write a 50,000-word story, you win. It's super fun. And so they think about two types of people. You've got your planners, and your planners do what it sounds like. The weeks and months leading up to the jam, they might be world building or creating characters or plot outlines. Basically everything right up to it was a dark and stormy night. Totally legal. On the other side, you've got the people who write by the seat of their pants. They show up on day one with a blank sheet of paper and a lot of optimism. And I know for me, my tendency is to think if I'm not 100% pantsing this jam, I'm cheating. That's a lie. It's not true in NaNoWriMo. It's definitely not true in summer slow jams. And if you are making a Meatspace game, it is so helpful to know what you are doing before the kickoff. The reason for this mostly is supplies. You will probably have pieces or props, scenery. You may need tools with which to construct those pieces. You may not be able to find those things in the city of Portland and have to order them online and wait for shipping. And sometimes the shipping takes longer than the space of a game jam. A little planning goes a long way. I definitely had to order the giant cardboard boxes ahead of time. I came in thinking, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know I want a cardboard tunnel. So I was prepared. Next, it's really helpful to design for the showcase. And the sad truth about these kinds of games is that, I mean, at least until I open up a indie arcade and LARP room, like there's not gonna be a place to show this beyond the showcase. I have like boxes in my closet of all of these random props, and that's where it lives. So, you wanna make sure your game is allowed to be shown at the showcase. Hey, guess what's not allowed? Fire! You see, my whole original concept for the fire game was, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I made a game they won't let me demo? And then fire came from that, and like, hey, that was fun and hilarious, but oh, I accidentally made a fun game and now I can't play it and I'm sad. And I don't want you to be sad. Consider what is safe and reasonable, and be in contact with the organizers like from the very beginning. As soon as you got an idea, bounce it off of them because they know what's allowed and what's not allowed. And this is definitely the time when you want to ask for permission because you want to get invited back to things. I have found PIGSquad to be super helpful in just like they will do everything they can to work with me and my weird ideas, but sometimes it has to say no. So it's like, okay. I'm running short on time. Briefly, I'm gonna say also just make sure your game runs well in the showcase. It's gonna be crowded and brightly lit and loud. So maybe don't do something that depends on subtle sound cues. Also, if you're trying to establish a mood of eldritch horror, that's gonna be difficult. But live music goes a long way towards establishing that mood. Again, you don't need specialized skills to do these kinds of games, but there's lots of artists and musicians floating around here who are super talented. If you see one just kind of floating around, just kind of like, see if they want to help. I didn't have any art for Yes Real Fire, so all of the house parts are just squares of different sizes. And if this was a game you could actually play, I'd really like to add that art, because I think it'd add a lot. So, you can make a Meatspace game. Yes, there are challenges. You gotta consider things like cost, accessibility, the laws of physics, whatever. These challenges can be overcome. And if you do, the payoff is totally worth it, because in the end, you get to deliver a really unique and a really ephemeral experience to your players, and that is something that is so, so cool. You can make a Meatspace game. I hope you do. Thank you.